Hey, this is Notser, and we are looking at Haven. It is a brand new map in 0.6.2. I am playing on the public test server as the Nicholas. This is standard battle. There is also going to be a domination variant that I will be showing off. And Haven, what's going on with Haven? Well, let's first get something out of the way. I am sick still. I apologize for my voice. If that's not good enough, I can't really change it. Sorry. So, Haven. How is the map designed? What are the elements that you recognize? Well, it feels a lot like Land of Fire. It's got the sort of, what's the best? The sky on fire effect, where it's red and yellow, and you could just like feel the heat that should supposedly be there. And unlike Land of Fire, these islands are very much like plateaus, stepped plateaus. It shows a lot of history. If you are familiar, you're basically looking at time, the passage of time, and it is in high definition, at least it appears to be. So even zoomed in like that, I don't really get to pick on the texture work that much. It looks pretty cool. And visually, obviously, that's great. Who cares? I turn everything off, Notser. I just play with grayscale. You also get some cool gameplay elements from islands designed like this. As you can tell, it's very flat on the surface at the top. This allows you to see over islands. They block just enough line of sight that you can use it to your advantage, but it'll also allow you to visually see the target and easily engage them. On some maps, it's very hard because the indicator is saying I should be able to hit you. Everything in my gut says I can hit you, but I cannot see where your ship is in relation to the water. So it's really just a blind fire and a feel shot. It's not really the case on this particular map. And I chose to head out from the southeast spawn to the western flank to gain intel for my team. On the other game mode, the domination, I'm going to be going on the eastern side. So you'll be able to see a lot of the map in a competitive environment. But as you can tell, the islands are very good at blocking line of sight, and they're just tall enough to block destroyers, cruisers, even some battleships. Now, obviously, some islands are taller than others. This particular one that I'm making use of would probably not block the battleships, like a Fuso, some ridiculously tall ship that has the 40 stories tall command tower. But as a lowly destroyer, as a tiny destroyer, they are perfect for me, and I can make use of pretty much every single island to my advantage. Now we're near the spawn of the enemy, and one other aspect of all these islands is there's a lot of choke points where a torpedo spread would close it off for a good amount of time. My enemies can also use the line of sight to their advantage. I have yet to see the battleship and the destroyer, and it looks like a cruiser. The cruiser has headed off to the southern flank, but the last known position for the destroyer is a mystery until, of course, my friendly comes around the island and spots him out. So I'm going to try and continue to make use of the islands to my advantage. I have yet to use smoke, and honestly, I should probably use smoke. I'm just so greedy. I want to see how far I can go. Some ships don't have smoke, right, Notser? So it's better to get an idea of where I can go and where I can't go. And you can see sort of the layering of the islands. If I was just a couple meters back, then this Fiji would never have seen me, period. Now, he would have felt me, because I'm obviously firing on him, but he wouldn't have seen me. The islands layer up in a manner that you can make use of. And they're just short enough that it's easy to fire over them. It's pretty cool. I kind of like this. I really do like this. Whenever they redid Two Brothers to, I think, HD or Super HD, higher texture quality, they tried to add some islands that were just tall enough to block some torpedoes, maybe some line of sight, that sort of thing. And I think it worked pretty well. I think it works very well. And it is something you need to consider. You develop your aim, you develop your ability to use certain classes, certain tools at your disposal, consumables. Another thing that needs to be developed is manipulating the land to your advantage, minimizing the number of targets that can engage you. There is a battleship, there is a destroyer in the area, and I don't want anything to do with them. That is part of the strategy here. Minimizing the threat to the primary target, but also minimizing the threat to my ship from all these secondary targets that are in the area as well. And the Fiji, he's trying to hide in smoke. I had AP loaded. Don't know if that's a good choice or a bad choice, but the friendlies are able to take him out. And I feel pretty bold. Yeah, I took a torpedo, like a dum-dum. Yeah, I'm still alive. I don't know how, but we can always push it a little bit further, right? Just a little bit further, Notser. This enemy Konig is trying to fire with HE, and I'm going to angle against it. Now, some people were like, why would you ever fire AP against a destroyer as a battleship? That's a good question. Now, hear me out. Yes, HE is going to disrupt the modules of the ship more. But AP, if it sticks on the ship, does 3 times the amount of damage, on average, that an HE shell does for a battleship. Now, some of you are like, well, it's a destroyer. That's insane. That's never going to happen. It actually does, surprisingly. Whenever a destroyer is maneuvering, sometimes he goes long ways and the shell doesn't have enough time or penetrating force to escape the ship, and it does full penetration damage. That's pretty good damage. It's worth the risk of the overpen if you can get a shot every once in a while that will stick in the ship. And that was pretty slick, right? We took that guy out. So this is the domination variant of Haven. Those A point and D point are by default associated with their respective spawn points. This game, I spawned in the northwest side, and the enemy spawned in the southeast side. The friendly York sent torpedoes, and well, Ernst, good luck with the next game. He's probably like, oh man, I hate my life. All I wanted to do was try this torpedo mode, and all you did was torpedo me blind and shoot all your big guns into him. And that is why we use AP. The long ways, the AP is going to stick in the ship and do massive damage. I don't even know if I could have killed him with HE if all the shells hit. That's how much reduced damage HE does. So, we are on a different flank than previously in the standard battle. What is the differences over here? Well, we're going to try and flank the enemies and get on their side. Don't allow them to break out and punish, of course. These islands over here are tall enough to cover the Konig. I don't know if that island right in front of me, to the top left area, is tall enough. Maybe some parts of it. But there is a particular cruiser that is somewhere just to my west who is ready to die, I think. I'm hoping that I can engage him. There's also an enemy, Bugioni, and he looks to be going into a broadside. So I'm like, yes. Still, they can't see me. The islands are blocking me, but I have a clear, clean shot. And I do catch on that he is slowing down, but I don't catch on quite quick enough. Really? Really? You wanted to stop in the middle of Sea Point? At that precise moment? Really? Really? And of course, the friendlies kill him, but there is something else there. The friendly battleship is not successful in starting the cap. That enemy cruiser is probably still in smoke and ready to die. So we just have to wait. Where is he going to be located? I don't have any hydroacoustic, of course. This is a tier 5, Notser. Are you crazy? And ooh, there he is. So we're going to try and fire at the waterline. Maybe should have dropped it a little bit low because it looked like the shells went high. 7,800. Not bad, but look at the islands. They are so perfect for manipulating line of sight. They're everywhere. There's every island on this map probably has parts of the island that you can easily fire over and easily block line of sight for your class and every class of ship. I'm trying to manipulate it so I minimize the number of targets that can engage me, just as you're supposed to. The Leander is overextended. I'm going to try and rotate around this and fire on his position. I am detected, I believe, by that destroyer that's over by B point, but that doesn't really matter when you can kill a Leander. Who's using the premium camouflage? Good luck, Mr. Leander. We get a citadel, of course, which is great. It's a T-22. Sir Hook. Well, Sir Hook, you're not Captain Hook. I'm not afraid of Sir Hook. He apparently is coming directly towards Sea Point, but doesn't matter. He's dead already. So, this particular part of the terrain is indicative of the southwest side. It has small islands, large islands, medium islands, a lot of choke point torpedo positions. If that T-22 wasn't coming directly at me, I would definitely expect torpedoes. Look, he sent them from the Bayern, and the Bayern apparently is able to avoid it. But yeah, if you go through some of these choke points and you're not aware of a destroyer or a cruiser that has torpedoes, or even a German battleship, I mean, who would give battleships torpedoes, right? Even German battleships can really manipulate the line of sight game and ambush these torpedoes around these islands. It's that simple. And I'm feeling so great. Man, we're doing great. This enemy Miyoko, this enemy Gneisenau. I'm going to work on the Gneisenau. I don't have anything else to fire at. I chain fired a little bit. Again, the islands are tall enough that they block line of sight, but they are flat enough that aiming over them is not a problem at all. Not at all. And there are also plenty of them where enemies and maybe myself have run into them. You know, one or two. Not a big deal, right? This enemy Miyoko, of course, is the one who's run to the island, and I just don't have a line of sight. It's slightly too large over here, but we're going to try and work around it. It seems that Wargaming has designed it to where there are a couple of very large islands that you can make use of as a battleship, as a cruiser, as a destroyer. There are sporadic islands that allow you to line of sight, but you've got to be careful. You might over-rotate too quick, and I was just hoping, is he going to try and go towards my enemies or my teammates over by B point, or is he going to try and break out to this side? And I will not allow him to decide. I'm going to just make sure we confirm this shot. Spread the love, baby. And yes, enemy is defeated. And of course, we're going to be continuing forward to try and engage the enemy Bayern, limit the number of enemies that engage me. I don't know that my team is quite as aware of what you're supposed to do whenever you're playing a map. Seems that a lot of them are out in the open with multiple enemies that can engage them, but I have to go against a German battleship, and I can't really citadel him. I'm just going to try and get some damage on him. My secondaries are going off. We have the enemy Gneisenau, which is about to duck into island coverage. If my teammates could finish him off, it would be great. We take a little bit too much damage, honestly. And, oh yes, he pulls a Notser right in front of me. He ran to the island. How wonderful. Now, for Germans, for anyone who's not aware, you don't fire at the waterline. You fire actually at that armor belt. Midpoint of the ship. That way, you will be able to get any dispersion that might occur to not go into the water. You can't guarantee citadels at close range, so you want to maximize the amount of shells on the target. That is the most important thing. And we are going to maximize a lot of shells on the target. We take out the enemy Bayern. Our friendly Bayern is still alive, and I'm going to try and push forward and potentially engage this enemy cruiser that's out in the open. Now, it is a Fiji, and he can use smoke, and look at this. We're almost back to where we were on the standard battle. Just sailing around. You can get a good idea. This entire map is pretty much the same design. Every island has a potential to line of sight block, but also fire over it because of the design. And I'm looking for those citadels. Please give me those citadels. Just take him. Oh, we missed the citadels. But we do great damage to the target. I expect him to try and pop his smoke, because he doesn't want to take that kind of damage any longer. And my teammates are crumbling quickly. I don't understand this. I don't know why they're all out in the open. They should try and stay behind islands and only engage targets that they can engage. The islands are blocking the line of sight, so this enemy Fiji, he can't fire on me. I'm going to try and go towards the center, engage the Pensacola. Now, I might be making a mistake. Just as I said, oh, line of sight block, but I'm trying to also block the island from the Fiji. And yeah, there's enemy battleships that will be able to engage me. I should not have done this. You will see exactly why you don't go into these open areas. You want to manipulate the islands to your advantage. For whatever reason, we got cracking on that. But that's not the important thing. The important thing is now there's 3 enemy ships that can fire on me, and they're all battleships. Whereas I could have had the Fiji, who can only fire AP, firing at my ship. The Gneisenau now has great angling against my ship, and he's 2 tiers higher, so I'm not going to have a lot of success against this guy unless he makes a mistake. And of course, the dispersion. The dispersion does not work in my favor. Now, my teammates could go after the Fiji. The Fiji apparently has left the safety of his smoke, or it's over. And I'm trying to get the Gneisenau dead. We've got a friendly shores who ran into an island, which is unfortunate, but that is what happens. As I'm reloading, enemies are like, "Hey, man, you do a great job. Really appreciate it." And yes, the Gneisenau is somewhat competent. He knows what he's supposed to do. He's trying to manipulate the island, so he has the advantage. And he definitely does have the advantage. I lost the shores. Just like that, a 5-5 game is 2 versus 4. All my teammates are dead. Can I get the Gneisenau before he's in range to send out torpedoes? And no, we can't! A combination of the island and the angling have denied me that kill. I'm very healthy, but it's 1 versus 3 in this sector. And I do have the Gneisenau on my starboard side, and I just know he has an easy flank shot on me. I can't really get too close, and yeah, he does a ton of damage to me. Just the worst possible situation. I probably should have flung the ship back around and used the guns that were already rotated to the port side, but I was afraid of torpedoes, honestly. I should have manipulated that island and moved to the starboard side. And I just can't believe how long he's been alive, but I wanted to get away from that Gneisenau as well. Trying to re-angle, avoid the torpedoes. We take shots from the North Carolina. I mean, not the North Carolina. The New York. We take out the Gneisenau finally. And this guy has been so annoying. He's hit every shot on me. It was my mistake. I should not have gone back into the center of the map. It feels like Haven is going to bait people into the center to die. Whereas you want to try and use the islands and rotate around the islands, only going in to capture the base, but leaving it as quickly as possible so you can get back into a more advantageous position. Now, the last known position for that Gneisenau was somewhere north of this large island that I'm about to get in front of. And I have a choice. I can go to the port side or the starboard side. And I am detected, so he knows exactly what I'm trying to do. And I am trying to change my positioning at the very last second. And I probably should have ducked very quickly to the right, because I am a little predictable in this positioning. But the goal was to force the Gneisenau to rotate around the island, and of course, that is not what he does. Instead, we run into the island, which saves us a little bit of damage, but we are so dead. Either to torpedoes or the enemy, we are so dead. And this all started because I wanted to go to the center to work down the Pensacola. I should have just stayed on the outside, engaged the targets whenever I could, avoided taking damage, deny line of sight, and see how well we could do. Instead, we get stuck in the center, we take massive damage, and we don't do near enough. That enemy Fiji is getting away from my friendly, and it is, of course, the public test server. Most of these people have never played these tiers. They're usually trying things that they're not comfortable with, and they're just not going to perform as well as they need to. That's just the way it works. But as far as Haven is concerned, it's a very interesting map. I look forward to play it more. I can't wait for it to come out on live because of the way the islands work. You can manipulate the line of sight game and really minimize the amount of threats that can engage you while maximizing your damage output. It's the best case scenario whenever you're getting into a map. And I enjoyed it immensely. We got 6 kills. I mean, it was a good game. but it's public test server. Who cares, right? I hope this was helpful looking at the New Haven. We basically sailed around the entire map between the two games. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll catch you next time.